Welcome to Too Much, Just Right. This is a space for women who've been told they're too much one too many times.
We are over it. We're not here to tone it down. We are here to amp it up.
We believe your too much is your magic.
So let's dive deep, get messy, heal out loud,
and be too much together. Ruby insisted that we record a podcast episode today. Camera not ready, not being camera ready, backgrounds all over the place, not ready to record. She said, no, this is where the real shit happens.
Then she starts moving things around to make it look nicer.
And she means herself.
Me. Yeah. She is me.
My bed is still unmade. Maybe this one we won't do video. No, we got to do video on this one.
We're doing video. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back. What is today? Today is Monday. It's a riveting Monday at the Full Circle Women's Collective.
Well, hey, it's June. It's summer. It's Pride. It actually is a riveting time. It's one of my favorite months. I started my day on a walk where it was one of those like no temperature days. Like the sun is out. It's beautiful, but it is not warm yet. And I walked to my park near my house and sat under a legit willow tree, which I think is one of the most magical trees outside of like the Northern California redwoods.
That's my favorite tree.
I don't think we've ever talked about that.
That's my favorite tree.
Not surprised that we have the same favorite tree. Like it's always been a fantasy of mine to like, or I shouldn't say a fantasy. I've always had a very strong vision of my future home having a willow tree in the backyard so I could read under it. And then actually probably my daughter as well. Because I think that vision came from reading books as a kid. And I want to say that I think in like The Bridge to Terabithia or like some other fantasy book I read when I was a kid, that book is not a fantasy. But like there were willow trees were always present. So there's like something about that.
I grew up with a willow tree in my front yard. So, and it was like, so I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Okay. There was like cows in my yard that got out from the farm next door, goats that got in my house. Okay. Middle of nowhere, 1-lane road type of growing up. And we, in our front yard before they started all the construction around, there was a brook that ran through it. And it was just like precious and beautiful, and like we always let the yard grow up, and then there would be deer and then this willow tree, and I was like, why can't I be Tarzan? I couldn't hang on the willow tree. So I just want to say, like, I did have that disappointment in my childhood that I could not hang on the willow tree, but I did grow up with one in my front yard, so I do feel a little spoiled.
Now I'm just thinking about Phil Jackson and the Tarzan song, and wait, no, Phil, oh God,
I have no idea.
What? Oh my gosh, what is that pop singer's name? I'm gonna have to come back on this. The point I was actually trying to make is just how incredible the soundtracks were for 90s Disney movies, basically. Because that song for the Tarzan movie, amazing. My
Phil
daughter
Collins.
Phil Collins. I was like, Phil Jackson. That's not right. Not the coach from the the Lakers.
My parents' first song that they, to was "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins. So, The Air is the name of the song. Yeah, by Phil Collins. Yeah, you got to play it, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my God!" Because anytime it comes on, my parents grab each other's hands and they're like, "Ah,
I can feel it."
Like, can you imagine being married, like being married to someone who you've been with since you were in high school, and like you have like a song like that is like so signifying or significant in your relationship that when it comes on, you're like taken back to that moment. I can't imagine because, I got married in my 30s. So like I don't have a high school sweetheart sexual history. But
But you can still hear songs from when you were in high school and you instantly want to go.
Oh my God, I do. There's been some psychological studies on that where there's something that when around the time that you got your license, so around the time you're 16 for most people, whatever music you were listening to at that time, for the rest of your life, it's programmed into you to be like this insane stuff. And trust me, like I will turn on something that is just like if anyone knows this band, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, something absolutely terrible. And I will hear it and I'll be like, yes, or Forever the Sickest Kids. Like, I like, because I was really into either like disgusting rap, hip hop, and R&B, or I was into really weird, like high pitched male voice singing
It's a
punk.
very specific genre.
I'm saying punk with quotations, guys, because I would not call it punk. But if you know Forever the Sickest Kids, then like you know what I'm talking about. Yes. Um,
And no, it's not surprising because it's like I can remember lyrics from musicals, songs that I listened to on repeat when I was a kid and in high school, and then that's like I can't remember like what I watched last week. But it's like no,
yeah.
for some reason,
Yes.
all of the words to "Shoot" by Salt and Pepper never leave
Yeah.
my brain. The
Yeah.
intro to the Music Man never leaving my brain because I listened
Yeah.
to it incessantly before that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's wow. It's wild. I hear my child also, guys. If you hear my kid, he's in the background saying, Mama, Mama.
Yeah,
He'll
Mama's
probably
podcasting. Mama's
he'll stick his
podcasting.
little hands through here sometimes, the crack in the door, and he'll be like, Mama.
I
You
get
have
that
to
a lot when I'm in the bathroom in our
oh.
two-bedroom apartment with one bathroom, and it's like, Mama, I can see you with little
Wait,
fingers.
you have bathroom privacy? You get to shut the door? Because I
Not
don't.
usually, not usually,
Okay,
but
yeah.
it's mostly just like my husband and I are really trying to keep that barrier because we do only have like the one bathroom. It's not
Yeah.
like we're not in like a, multi-level house. So we're really trying to keep like my daughter's with me in the bathroom all the time, but like my husband and I are really, really trying to keep that one. And it's
No.
we're gonna lose that battle pretty soon because
Our
she's
house,
constantly just coming in and out of doors, and I'm like, I was pooping, but cool, 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 cool.
I live in the opposite of you, right? I live in a
Yeah.
multi-level house and I have my own bathroom
Oh,
inside of our like my own toilet room inside of our bedroom.
the dream. A separate
And
toilet room, like a
oh
room
my
that's just where the toilet is,
yes,
separate from the bathroom. That is a literal
yes.
dream. Yeah.
It was my dream. It was my dream. I didn't even think that I could get it. I wrote it down on my housing dream list when we were looking for a place to move to.
Was it a thing like in your houses growing up, or like especially with roommates, where it was like if there were multiple bathrooms, one of them was the designated like pooping bathroom, like that's the one that everyone went into if they like really had
Oh
to.
no. No, I grew up with zero privacy in a very like loud household. So like no. I know no boundaries. I don't understand personal boundaries.
Oh,
Like if when you get to I will like literally Sarah. Okay, also guys, side note, me and Sarah have never met each other in person. How
never
crazy
in
is
real
that?
life. It's the craziest. It's one of the craziest things in my current life that we've never.
Well, you're gonna meet me and you're gonna see me completely naked and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? And I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry, I don't even like think about it because that's how I grew up. My parents were always naked, everyone was naked, no one like cared. There was no like privacy like that. Like it just wasn't a thing. And so like
Grew up
now
in a naked house.
yeah, and me and my husband have a naked house, so we're
Hmm.
like always naked, and so our kid is always naked, and we just are like whatever, like. So Sarah, you're definitely gonna see me naked.
I think that's beautiful. I wish that that was like the norm. I didn't grow up in a naked house, but I'm definitely trying to normalize it with my daughter as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean it's it's really funny because like my 2-year-old understands that I don't have a penis and that he has a penis. I just can't understand people who don't want their children to be comfortable in their own bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Or
think
just inadvertently, right? Because so much of
yeah,
that, like so much of the shaming that happens is like it's inadvertent and it's
yeah.
us still working out our own comfortability from what we grew up with. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I
and
totally
it's hypersexualization too, which is like hard for me. Like we have some friends who don't want to say the word penis, and I'm like, wait, why are you sexualizing the word penis? Like the name,
that's such
the
a good point.
texture, the size, the bodily functions, all that stuff should be talked about so that it's not sexualized. Um,
So such an important point.
uh,
That's why it's made to feel uncomfortable is because
yes,
it's hypersexualized. Yeah. Talking with my daughter about like the difference between like we both have a chest and I have
yes,
breasts and
yes.
at some point in your life your body will.
You'll also have them.
Yeah, yeah, but right now we both have a chest and daddy has a chest and daddy doesn't have
Yeah.
breasts, but I have breasts. And like she wants to like put on my bras and talking about the difference of like why you need to wear it or why you don't. And as much as like an almost 3-year old can comprehend, it puts it in a different lens when it's like they're just observing the differences between
Yes,
our bodies, right? And that it's exactly that. It's just a body and they just want to
yes,
know about the body that they have and the body that you have.
yes,
So I love that you said that. It's like the only reason we feel uncomfortable with it is because it's sexualized
yes.
by our culture, by
Mhm.
and the shame is inherently tied to that.
Yes. And it's like I'm gonna piss people off when I say this. At the end of the day, we're all just animals. And it's
Mhm.
like, there's
The
people
body is
online that like cover up their dog's vulva or like their dog's nipples. And I'm just like, yo,
that's so
y'all.
interesting. I've never seen that.
Oh, I've seen a lot of people do it. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
You're in
guys,
pup world.
we gotta calm down. We
Yeah.
gotta calm down.
Just a body.
But this ties into the patriarchy and the opinion.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it to like another big topic swing, but like recently, my grandmother passed away recently, and I was talking to some friends when I was home about like how to talk to my daughter about it, not because we were going to a service, but because we were going to be doing a remembrance with my family. And, whenever we go home, she sees Gigi and she's like aware of her. And I was talking to my friends who their kids are a little bit older and kind of getting their insights. And one of my friends, they both brought up like, well, my kids were exposed to this really, like, we never had to have like that, a talk with them about death and dying because they experienced it with animals. And one
Mhm.
of them like has a farm and she's like, yeah, they'd experienced it with like the goats and the pigs and with a dog. And so I just thought that was really interesting of like we don't have
Yeah.
a pet in our family. But again, like it being this reminder that like we are all bodies, we all live, we all die, and that that's a very natural thing. And we talk about
Yes.
something else that there's a lot of like stigma and like taboo-ness around that we're like not supposed to talk
Yes.
about like death and dying in the same way that we're
Yes.
not supposed to talk explicitly about birth, right?
Yes.
It like it's all tied in with like what we don't understand about our bodies or what we're not allowed to like love and be curious about or be free about. We like put these parameters around what's acceptable to talk about
Yes.
and what's not.
Um, I that's one of the things, I have a black household, so avoiding the topic of death or violence is like it's not a privilege that we have.
Mm,
And we've been telling Ezra about death and dying and hurt and pain and violence always. Like, and I know he's only 2, but when something doesn't work or when a plant has died, he'll say dead. And I'm like, yes, it is dead.
mm,
Or dead. And I'll say, no, it's dying currently, but it will be dead. And there's so many like small ways that you can discuss what death is.
hmm
Um, and he's starting to like get the concepts. He understands if he steps on a bug, he's going to kill it. And we use the word kill. We use the word violence. We talk about things like that. I tell him it's violent to step on ants. You
hmm
can't step on ants. We don't kill bugs in this house.
hmm
And so many people don't have these conversations with their kids. One, because maybe they're privileged and they don't have to, but two, because they think that it's going to traumatize their child. And I want to offer a different perspective on that. Teaching your child about death is the opposite of traumatizing them. It is empowering them to live life. It is empowering them to show that without life, there is no death. And without death, there is no life. Like you can't have one without the other. And so I really want to offer that alternate perspective of like you can show a child how beautiful the world is while still incorporating death in. It's so hard to learn about it when you're 15 years old and it's the first time you're being taught about it. Like it's the same thing with nudity. If you've never seen boobs in your life and then you get to see them at 15, oh my God, of course you're going to go down a porn rabbit hole. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like you got to like expose it. It's okay. It's all right.
Well, I love that like that all the, alternative, I'm using quotes if you're listening to this, like alternative view that you're offering. It's just what I heard when you said that is you are you're simply teaching your child about the way that the world works and
Yes.
using the example of plants and bugs. Like those are things that they're interacting with all of the time or animals, right? You're simply teaching them about the way that the world works. And so to hide that from them is to then, and same thing with nudity, is like to suggest that there's something wrong with that or that they're not
Hmm.
allowed to be curious, they're not allowed
Hmm.
to talk about it. And it's
Hmm.
something that is a part of everyday life. And I think
Hmm.
it is really important to address that it's like whether like some people might be more privileged than others to address like that reality in their life.
Hmm.
And by not being the one to show it to them, to talk to them about it, to give them context for it, to give them a relational point for it, then you're leaving that up to chance of how they're going to experience it in the world. And they may or may not come back and talk to you about it. So by being the entry point for them, you are taking responsibility for being that foundation and
Mhm.
being the person that they can then come talk to about it. So I think that that's really beautiful. Here's the thing is like, I don't know, we've been talking for like 20 minutes. I already feel like I've gotten a lot out of this podcast that I'm going to walk walk away thinking about. Especially with like the ants example, because like we have some in our
Yeah.
backyard, and Charlie's like, every time she walks by, she's like, don't step on the ants, don't step on the ants. But I don't think we've talked about like, well, what happens if you do step on the ants? So like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be thinking about that. We have been talking about because she wants to pick all the plants in the backyard of how like the brown ones, we can pick the brown ones, but the green ones are still growing. And I think I've said like the brown ones are dead, but like I don't think I've explained that. So that's so interesting. It's giving me something to think about.
I think children knows and they have such a greater capacity than we could
Yes.
possibly realize. They have so much more capacity than psychologists say. They have so much more capacity than like anything that we've been taught. And if you're a conscious parent at all, like you know that and you see that. And if you think about the way that we walk through life as adults, as women, the shame that we feel, the problems that we have, our inability to stand up for ourselves, our inability to feel joy, our inability to align with what we actually want, much of that started in the facades of our childhood.
Mm,
Much of that started like when you think about people pleasing, where does people pleasing stem from? It's because being bad or being uncomfortable or being unliked is not okay, right? It's not a welcome feeling. Well, how about we teach our kids it's okay to be bad sometimes? It's okay to not be likable. It's okay to upset someone. You know, the beauty of relationships is in the repair, it's not in the being perfect. And so I really truly believe like I I want to raise Ezra. I know he's going to have shame. I know he's going to have abandonment issues. He's going to have all the normal human things, but like I want to raise him without this desire to view life through rose-colored glasses.
mm,
I want him to be able to honor both sides. And that's because I want myself to be able to honor both sides. For so long, and again, this is where the Full Circle Women's Collective was born. For so long, I felt like I had to be all of these things in order to be worthy and
mhm,
valuable and seen and honored and appreciated and paid.
mm.
And over the last couple years since I had my son, all of that has unraveled.
Yeah.
And none of it is true anymore for me. None of it is true anymore. I could not be less interested in fitting into the mold. And like everything that we're about is breaking that patriarchal,
Mhm, mhm.
misogynistic design. So much of it starts in our parenting. And if we start parenting ourselves, like where do we feel shame and where are the places that we can soothe ourselves to be like, okay, you know what? This is okay. We're going to move forward in a different direction.
I saw a quote recently. I think it was Florence Pugh who was sharing it that said, when you stop trying to please people, people will stop being pleased, and that's okay. And I was
Mm.
like, ooh,
Why
I
did
was
I just get chills?
uh-huh. I was like, ooh, I wish I'd heard that earlier. When you stop people pleasing, people will stop being pleased, and that's okay. Because the reason we people please is because we don't want people to stop being pleased because we don't think that that's okay.
Yeah.
And she was sharing like what a game changer that was for her when she started enacting that. And I think that is definitely something I'm giving myself a lot more permission to do. And I also saw a post today that was all about unlearning the process of fawning, which is another way of saying like people pleasing or protecting yourself by building others up. Or this is how I interpret fawning. Because you hear like fight, flight, or freeze. And it wasn't until a couple years ago that I started hearing or fawn be put in there as well. So fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and really saw myself a lot in that sphere, in relationships and like daily interactions, like previous version of me. But some of the examples that she gave, I was like, ooh. And I actually think I sent it to you and I was like, ooh, this is my work.
Mhm.
Because it's things like don't jump to fill the silence in a conversation.
Ooh.
Don't dilute your message or opinion with exclamation points or an emoji.
Ooh.
Don't, yeah, right? I will probably get it out and read the other ones, but and it was yeah, it's like a interrupting your desire or your need to people please. Um, the filling the silence one is big and just kind of noticing how like I would do that even in just like random interactions at like, in line for a thing and someone talks to you and you're like this is instead of just having the reaction that maybe you're having on the inside of like this is weird or I don't want to engage with you or like I'm getting some kind of vibe or like defaulting to like smiling and laughing before walking away or defaulting to and it's like that all stems from not wanting to feel safe in the world and feeling like one of the only ways that I could feel safe in the world as a woman was to be pleasing to other people. So that definitely is something that I'm thinking a lot about and wanting to, again, talking about our kids. I don't want that to be my daughter's default. There's a difference between being like kind and compassionate and generous and that, all of that, but also not feeling like you have to make yourself smaller or more palatable to someone else, which is in essence abandoning a part of yourself to make someone else feel better. Like, because that's not about you, that's about them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, my whole life I've been told I'm too big, I'm too much, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too moody, I need to grow a tougher shell. Like, I mean, I could go on and on and on. I'm too loud, I'm too everything, you know what I mean? And
Right. That is the thing is like even when we are trying to do something that we think is going to make someone else more comfortable, like we can never know. Like we never know what other people are thinking or feeling and what's going on for them. So it's not even worth it to that end.
I think about my career currently and so many women that I work with and then so many of my clients. I just see, oh God, Jane Fonda has a great quote. Do it with the confidence of a mediocre white man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. You just see all these mediocre men and they're just being mediocre and they're so confident. I want to be that.
Which part do you want to be? Because you don't want to be that. Which
I don't
part of
want to
it?
be mediocre. I don't want to be
Yeah,
mediocre.
which part of that do you want to be?
I want to be confident
The
and
unwavering confidence.
yes, I want unwavering confidence. I want to just be blind with confidence. I want to be able to be just absolutely atrociously confident and like the problem is though is that when a woman
Atrocious self-belief.
yes, no, but I want to atrociously believe in myself. And it's like, it's crazy that just because I'm a woman, that's what I'm calling it rather than just being confident. But it's like, well, first of all, I'm loud, I'm big, I'm taller than the average man. So like I'm already like a problem for men. They see me and it's just like intimidation city. And on top of that, I'm athletic, guys. Okay, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I am a baller, I am a badass, and like
For a former D1 athlete,
the
still
former D1
top rank, like no big deal.
no big deal. You
She's
know,
not going to brag on herself, so I'll.
ah, I just threw up a flexi symbol, guys, who are watching and not, or who are listening and not watching. But it's just crazy to me that even in me wanting to be wildly confident, I see the behavior as atrocious. I see the behavior as giving me the ick. And it's like, oh my God, I am smart. I'm accomplished. I make really good money. I am athletic. I'm pretty. Like I'm all these fucking things. And I feel disgusting. And like I'm a
Why?
bitch. Right? No,
What's underneath that?
well, that is like society, right? Women are not allowed to be bodaciously confident. We have to be quietly confident. We have to be prim and proper and like, but like it's like no
Miranda Ruby Love Cameron, you have never been prim and proper your entire fucking life.
true. It's true.
No.
It's
So
true.
look at okay, so what's underneath that for you? Why do you actually feel disgusting to use your words? Like
Uh,
what comes up in your body? Why do you feel like you can't be like
like what have I been told?
what's your experience? You said like even now
Yeah.
when you say I want to be disgustingly uh
Well,
confident, I feel ick. Why?
it's deemed masculine. And guys, like I'm queer, like, but I like men, so it's like a little. confusing for people to understand. If you're queer, then you get it. But like, I'm very queer, and I don't talk about it. I definitely identify as gender queer. W- like my whole life dressed in boys' clothes, my whole childhood. But then my mom would be like, "Oh, but you look so pretty in your dresses. Why can't you just wear your dresses?" But like, I was in my brother's underwear and jeans and a backwards hat. You know what I mean? And like, now as an adult, I present more feminine because it is more acceptable and it is more comfortable when I'm out in public than if I was to dress another way. I am treated better when I dress more feminine. I am, you know, I do get the treatment that I want when I present more in a feminine energy. And that is what the story is. Like my brother used to tell me, men don't want women that act like you. And then on the other side of the narrative, he would say to me, you're the best catch of any woman. You play video games, you do sports, you are paint, you make money, you're educated." Like he would say all these things to me, but then he would be like, ugh, and my dad would say the same thing. Like, you're such a pretty girl. Why do you have to talk like that? Like, why don't you wear pink more? I like it when you wear pink. Well, you're never gonna fucking catch me wearing pink. It's like, unless it's a very specific color of pink, like fuchsia, maybe. It's just not a me. It's not me. Like, so I think that's where it comes from. Just all these stories that I was told in my life, and then the story, the ultimate story that I created out of all those narratives, right? Like each of those is like a sentence inside of a chapter, and then those chapters become a whole book after 34 years. And it's like, again, like I feel like an asshole even saying this, but like, Sarah, if I walk outside, I'm gonna get complimented by someone. I'm I am very, it's, you can't miss me. Like again, I'm a really large person. So like you can't, I don't blend in. Like my head is sticking out of a crowd everywhere I go. And then on top of that, I look different. I'm like, sit in between two racial lines, and like I've got like all that, and like so yeah, I just feel like it's like off-putting. And I want to be so confident that I don't care that it's off-putting. And I want every woman to feel like that. If I saw me walking down the street and she was disgustingly confident, I would be like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I want to be like you. That's how I would feel. You know what I mean? So it's like so wild to me that in my own head, I'm like, tone it down a little bit. Tone it down a little bit. You don't want to be too much. Like,
What happens when you're too much?
I embarrass people, or people look at me even more than they already look at me. Um, I draw attention to myself. I maybe like maybe I make people that I'm with embarrassed. You know what I mean?
I want to offer a different word. You said you're off-putting. What if
Yeah.
you're eye-catching?
Ooh, eye-catching.
Yes, you stand out.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's like crazy because I know that I stand out, but it's so hard
And
for me
why
to
are
be
you an
comfortable standing
asshole to
out.
state the truth? If I go outside, I'm going to get compliments. People are going to notice me. That doesn't make you an asshole. That makes you a truth teller because that's been your life experience.
Well, I mean, okay, this probably comes from so many different places. This probably comes from insecure men and insecure women, but we both grew up with the narrative that don't don't behave like that. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? We
Hmm.
both grew up with the narrative that like you're basically a hussy if you're out there wanting that attention. And it's not
Mm,
like I want that attention.
right.
It's not like I seek that attention, and I don't validate that
Hmm.
attention, but I would love to be able to say that I get that attention without feeling disgusted by myself and without feeling like, I'm always, guys, you'll learn. I like overanalyze stuff to like a horrible degree, like 10 standard deviations away from the original thought I'm going. And it's so I will like break it down and be like, am I a narcissist because I think people think this and this and this about me? Am I this because I think people think this and this about me? Like I go into like such a deep tangent and hole and get so lost in my thoughts. And it's all because I feel shame being confident in who I am. I feel shame being attractive. I feel shame being wanted. I feel shame being any of these things that aren't just in this binary of professionalism, essentially. Like, And I think it's two things. One, I think it's like the story I tell myself, but then it's also the story that society tells me. I have been locked in the offices by my college coach. Like he sexually harassed me. I've been sexually harassed by so many different men in my life. I've not been promoted because I'm a woman. I've been paid less next to the white girl that was working next to me in the same effing position. I've been given the keys, but not the managerial title. I've been given the managerial title, but not the pay raise. You know what I mean? So I've just had like all these experiences that have just piled on and made me be like, okay, you're both not enough and you're too much at the same time. And you got to like chill it out.
Part of what you said was that that attention's not wanted. Like so much of that is outside of you and
Yeah.
outside of your control. And it's what the world is putting on you. It's what other
Yeah.
people are putting on you. And so I'm curious, what do we let go of and how do we step into this new version of ourselves? How do we step, like, who do we get to become to be in this next level? And so, like, that image of if I saw me walking down the street, like, atrociously confident, I'd be like, fuck yeah. So,
Hmm.
like, what I'm interested in, and thank you for like being in the hot, like, the hot seat with this and like opening up and being vulnerable about like what's coming up for you, because I know this is not like easy stuff to talk about, but like, what needs to shift for you to be able to be the one walking down the street, knowing that those narratives might be happening, knowing that you're getting that attention. And maybe it's not like not caring, but embracing that that confidence gets to radiate from you because it's a gift you give yourself and it is separate from the narratives and the stories and the expectations that people in the past have put on you, people in the present are putting on you, society, all of that. Like, how what gets to shift so you get to have that experience that you want.
So I kind of feel like a big shift would come if I could receive compliments without shame.
Mm.
Because, you know, and like to remove all the physical aspect, when someone is like, oh, I look up to you because of X, Y, and Z, I want to be like, but do you know A, B, and C? Do you know the ugly? Or like, oh my God, you're the best manager, blah, blah, blah. Do you know how much I fuck off because I'm so burned out? You know what I mean? So it's almost like we talk about like masking and imposter syndrome. I definitely have imposter syndrome. Like, I know that. My therapist 10 years ago told me that, but there's almost like this masking that I do to make sure that I keep up an appearance of achievement. And it's almost like maybe if I could release all of that and be able to receive compliments for what they are, as it's just someone else's perspective and it doesn't matter if it's true for me or not, I think so much of my life would change. Because like we think compliments are only true if we believe them. And it's
Mm,
like so not, that's not the case. It's like when you hopped on here yesterday, how beautiful did I think you looked? I mean, I was just like, "Oh my God, you're stunning. You're so stunning." And you didn't feel it.
mhm. It was the first day of my period, guys. I was not feeling it.
Yeah.
I was like, I need these compliments.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's me getting to the place where I can receive them and honor them,
Yes.
whether or not I see it, because then I don't need to agree with what someone thinks of me or says of me, good or bad. And I think that's a lot of where all this stems from and that shame stems from is
Hmm.
like people will think I'm X, Y, and Z, and all I can think about is the ugly parts of me. Like, well, I banged my head into the wall the first year that I had my child and resented, everything. So do you know how ugly of a person I am?
Hmm.
Like,
Because if you did, then you wouldn't think this about
then
me.
you wouldn't think this
That's
about
right.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you knew the low that I could reach, would you still believe the highs that I have?
Hmm. Even more
Um,
so, I think is the answer I would give you is that people like people giving you that compliment of I look up to you because of X, Y, and Z professionally, personally, artistically would respect you even more if they knew some of those things that maybe you consider are the ugly or the low points. That makes the highs even higher. The fact that you're able to like show up here and talk about them makes
yeah.
the highs even higher, makes them even more real because you can't have one without the other.
Mhm.
And you're right, that is. that is your work of loving both of
Hmm.
those sides. We don't become the highest standard or the highest version of ourselves. We become our lowest standard. And we're constantly oscillating between the two.
Yeah.
That was really, really powerful for me to hear because it's like, what is the lowest standard that we're
Hmm.
willing to accept? And not because it's bad or it's negative, but it's like we're constantly pushing towards this thing, but like we spend more of our time trying to combat like whatever that low is. So it's how are we going to love that part of ourself and
Yeah.
accept it as a part of the whole. Um, and I hear what you're saying about questioning the compliment, and it's like the same thing of like with actors getting reviews. If you believe the good ones, you also have to believe the bad ones. So a lot of
Yeah.
actors just don't read reviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if
Yeah.
people are giving me compliments and I believe them, then I also have to believe the negative feedback that I'm getting from people. Um, another another big shift that I learned recently is framing it as like if someone gives you a compliment or has something negative to say about you or is judging you or pointing a finger or whatever, it's like, or if you're in that space with someone else, of like you're judging them and want to say you're doing this, you're doing that. This is really helpful in relationships too, of like, my experience of you is this. So someone says you're pretty, it's like, oh, that person's experience of me is that I'm pretty. They think I look pretty today. Great.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like shit. That doesn't less like their experience is their experience. That's not, it takes the like right or wrongness out of it because that's what's true for them, whether you agree with it or not. And it's the same thing when if you're giving feedback someone instead of being like, you did this, you did that, it's like my experience of you is this. It impacted me this way. It made me feel this way. So it's taking it out of like the action and in and owning, taking responsibility for like, this is how I'm experiencing it. Um, that has been really helpful for me as well. But I would just be curious. You said my life would change if I could accept a compliment without shame. What story are you telling yourself? What shame story are you telling yourself when you get a compliment? And it sounds like it's the would you still feel that way if you knew this other stuff? How
It
can you
is.
bring love and compassion to that voice that tries to negate?
Yeah. And guys, we're gonna like talk more about the topic of my identity in another
Hmm.
podcast. We actually wrote it down for an
Hmm.
episode, but I a lot of this does stem from being identified as black or biracial and growing up in a white household and like hearing comments inside my home and outside my home and like being told I was a sin and being told you would actually be pretty if you would straighten your hair, like all this stuff. Like, and I could go on for hours about the things that have been said to me about what I look like. And because my physical appearance has been such a topic for my life, and I want my brain to be the topic of my life, I think the shame comes in that no matter what, I can't escape what I look like.
Hmm.
I can't escape it. And I do, you know how like if you're skinny and you talk about your weight, fat people are like, oh my God, but you're skinny. What the fuck are you talking about? And vice versa, when sometimes when a girl that would describe herself as fat, and I would be like, no, girl, you're thick and curvy, like you're juicy, would talk about their body. A skinny girl would be like, but you don't know what it's like to be skinny like me. Everyone makes fun of me. I'm bony. No one wants to touch me. I'm not seen as attractive. Like all this stuff, right? It's the same thing with prettiness. Like people, if they think that you're pretty, they think, oh, you have it easier. And yes, there is so much privilege that comes with being pretty. Like, don't, pretty privilege is absolutely a thing. But I don't have the same type of pretty privilege as you do, Sarah, or as my sister-in-law has. I have a different type of, I have a fetish pretty. That's what pretty I am. I'm a fetish size pretty. I'm quote called exotic, which makes me want to like throw up even like saying that word. And so that's where a lot of that shame comes in is that a lot of the attraction that people have experienced with me in my life is sexual, even from a very young age, older men grabbing me, molesting me, touching me, like, you know what I mean? And so the shame about my attractiveness is so rooted in, dare I say, racism.
Hmm.
Um, and it's part of what it's hard for me to feel. I mean, it's so deep. Like if you talk about the Black community, like where I'm from, I might as well have been dark skinned, right? I might as well look like my husband because everyone around me was white with straight hair. And I was much more brown in my youth than I am now. I developed vitiligo and now I'm like not in the sun at all. Um but if I grew up in a Black community, I would have been like praised for what I look like. And so I'm also treated in this way of like, being quote light skin or biracial, like having that privilege by my community. And then the white community is out here calling me the N-word and like, telling me if I would just do this and this and I could be acceptable. And if they aren't calling me the N-word, they're telling me I'm exotic and they want to have sex with me. So it's like, there's like so much there that is like, I'm just a person with a really big soft heart with a very analytical brain. And like, could my physical appearance not be the first topic of discussion that you want to tell me about? I think that's where the shame comes from. I feel like I'm asking for it. I feel like the way I dress now versus the way I want to dress, I dress so that people don't notice me, but it doesn't matter. I dress in sweatpants and sweatshirts every day. I don't want to show off my body. I know I got a bodacious booty, okay? Like it's there. When I go in the gym, it's all out. But like I don't want to be known for that.
Yeah. Like
I want to be,
that's the thesis. Can my appearance not be the first thing that we talk about or comment on?
yeah, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it can't and it never will be different.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter what room I'm in, whether I'm in a room of therapists or in a room of tennis coaches, like my appearance is a hot topic. I'm getting comments about my hair or what I look like, and it's like not once in a blue moon, it's like frequently, I would say. If my hair looks slightly different or I style it, I get a
Yeah.
comment. If I get braids or if I pull my hair back, I get a comment. If I cut my hair, I get a comment. Like it's just like it's really exhausting. And then I know there's people that are going to be listening to this and they're like, "Bitch, you're pretty. Shut up." And it's like, "Okay, yeah, cool, but I'm also smart. I'm also really, really, really fucking smart. I am way smarter than I am pretty." And no one gives me credit for that because of what I look like. No one wants to hire me. No one wants to take me seriously. Like, I am in here. This is just my skin suit.
I
That,
love that phrase. I love
like, you know what I mean, though? It's just the skin
that.
suit for this life journey that I'm on. I've been
Yeah.
here. I've been here 400 fucking years, and I'm hoping this is my last life cycle. And I hope that I'm done after this because I have lived so many times and I know that I've been a man and I know that I've been a woman, but right now I am just so stuck in a body that I don't feel represents who I am.
Mm. Hmm.
Like, and that's where, when people are like, how do you know you're queer? Well, that's how I know I'm queer, guys. Um, I don't want to be Barbie. Like, I I just want to be Ruby.
Hmm.
So, how do you take away shame for something that like you have no control over?
Yeah.
And I love putting on makeup and a cute outfit. And I also
Yeah.
love just putting on a hat and going to the gym.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well, earlier you said I can't escape it. And what came through for me in that moment was I can't escape it. So I might as well fucking love it. I might as
Yeah.
well fucking rock it. Like that's where we get to walk down the street and not and just have
Yeah.
all the confidence in the world. Um,
Do you
yeah.
get hypersexualized by men still? Like, do
Not as
they
much as
say
not as
come?
much as I used to, but like when you said that like you have a fetish pretty, I mean, I'm obviously we have different experiences, but like definitely like as soon as I developed because like again,
Yeah.
if you're just listening or we haven't talked about this yet, but I'm Armenian and the stereotype of Armenian ladies having pretty
She got a fat
bodacious
ass.
assets is true in my case. And it's yeah, it's definitely like something that and I've also gotten called exotic. Like people when I was very, very young, because I also looked a lot darker when I was younger. I got the question like, "What are you?" all the time, but I wasn't aware of like why people would be asking me
Yeah.
that. Um, my first casting agent, my first commercial agent, not casting agent, in LA, one of the reasons they signed me was because I was quote ethnically ambiguous, and that was very highly, very
Okay.
sellable. Yeah,
What?
yeah. It's a
What the fuck?
ethnically ambiguous. It's a very castable trait.
And now I know why people think I'm literally just black because
Yeah. So
wow.
definitely fetishized
Mhm.
to a
Mhm.
degree. And I also kept thinking about like how adorable we're going to be in person. Just like a whole foot between us,
Yeah.
practically.
Yeah.
And
On this side, it's all tall. We're all tall. On your side, all small. We're all small. I'm a Dr. Seuss book, even though I know he's a racist, but Dr. Seuss book.
Oh. um, but yeah, like we can't escape it, so we might as well celebrate it because it is the suit that we have. And your light shines so brightly, and like that does come from your heart and your brain and your spirit. And even though people see the beautiful exterior, that's what their energy is actually responding to, whether they're conscious of it or not, is your light and your being. The very wise old soul that's been here for a long time and is just like, come on, everybody. Fucking catch up, protagonist. We've been doing this a while.
I'm sick of repeating the same story, guys. Come on. Like,
So maybe that needs to be the question of like, what do you get to figure out in this life journey so you can call it quits after this one.
yeah.
On the next episode,
Yeah.
Ruby's spirit journey.
Oh my
How can
God.
we help her get to completion?
Guys, you're gonna think I'm so crazy by the end of this. Like I have wild premonitions, like wild premonitions. And can I just have like can I have a premonition that makes us rich? That's
Yeah,
all I
you
want
can.
to know.
You
And
can.
I
Absolutely.
I need to I need to quit all work for 2 weeks and just sit on my bed and meditate for 10 hours a day and be like, how are we gonna get rich? I
Girl, that's income producing activity. You do whatever you
I
need to do.
listen, I intuitively feel like it is gonna be this podcast. So when you guys, this is episode, I don't know, 2 or whatever, but when you guys come back, just know you're going to see us in a couple years. You're going to be like, I listened to that second episode where Ruby said they were going to be rich from this podcast, and now they're rich from this podcast. Like, so I,
Impact ripple begin. Psh.
yeah, I hope anyone that is listening to this today, like, can, you know, take some lessons from it internally. I think there's so many things, like whether we were talking about like our experiences with our children or like my
Mhm.
experience like in the world and just not let me pause. I think so many women experience exactly what I'm experiencing.
Absolutely.
They
Mhm.
they're only seen as pretty and they're never seen as
Mhm.
what they are, which is just like a powerful, wise, smart, incredible being. And we're the earth movers.
Yeah.
Even though, we've been told that it's men, we're the ones who are bending time and space and making things happen. And I hope that if you're listening to this, you hear my voice encouraging you to be disgustingly confident.
Atrociously confident.
Atrociously confident. Yeah, atrociously confident.
Ah, I love
Like,
it. Go be, we might just want you to be seen, heard, and celebrated
hmm
without shame in this
yeah,
skin suit for exactly who you are, even though we know
yeah.
skin suit isn't a exactly inspiring word. Um,
Send us an email to hatefulcirclecollective@gmail.com with your notes on your disgusting or atrociously confident behavior. Please let us know. We would love to read about it.
we got to start a trend. This is
Yeah.
I want to hear that question of like what helps you be atrociously confident, or what are your acts of atrocious confidence this week? Let's normalize atrocious confidence. And
Mm.
I saw this quote yesterday, and I have not been able to stop thinking about it. And it said, "Man created God because man couldn't handle that women created life." And she said, and if anyone wants to argue with that, they can argue with a fucking wall. Because I think men saying that God is a man, only a
Wild.
man would fucking come up with that.
Wild. Why don't you have a womb?
Well, only a man would come up
Why
with
can't
that
you
nonsense.
surpass why can't you surpass the decibels that kill a normal human being during childbirth if you are God? Why?
We're gonna end on that note.
Yeah.
Um,
Before we get angry.
you can if that pisses you off, you are on the wrong podcast, bro.
God is a woman.
And ooh, I'll link this. I'll link this in the show note. But I just discovered a beautiful artist recently, and that's the chorus of the song is "If God is a woman, then why don't we love our women, treat our women right?" Oh, I can't remember what her name is. She's an African artist. It's so beautiful. I'll link it in our notes. Maybe it'll be our outro music, as much of it as we can.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys,
We'll talk to you soon.
yeah, talk to you soon. Thanks for being here with us
We don't have
on
to
the
sign off
Line.
yet. Atrociously confident.
Yeah.
Hey, Full Circle women. Thank you so much for listening to Too Much, Just Right. We know your energy is really precious, so thank you for sharing it with us. We create these episodes to fuel and inspire you and hope that today's episode did just that. If you felt seen, heard, and understood, or laughed and cried during the conversation today, please share with us what landed for you at Hey Full Circle Women on Instagram, and share this episode with a friend who really needs to hear it. We'd love for you to follow the podcast and leave us a review if you're feeling moved to. You can learn more about our community for women leading women in business and in life at heyfullcircle.com. And never forget, your too much is your magic, and it's just right.